The council chamber buzzed with tension, a cacophony of alien voices clashing as the galaxy's most powerful species debated humanity's role in the escalating conflict. Towering Xantharians with crystalline exoskeletons gestured sharply, their tones dripping with disdain. Feathered Tovari diplomats, known for their serene disposition, seemed uncharacteristically anxious. Even the warlike Gorik, a hulking race of reptilian warriors, exchanged uncertain glances. In the middle of it all stood the lone human representative, Commander Elaine Harker, her expression unreadable. "This discussion is pointless," the Xantharian ambassador declared, his voice resonating like a breaking glacier. "Humans are not equipped for war. Their fragile bodies, their emotional instability, they are liabilities, not allies." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Harker remained silent, her sharp green eyes scanning the faces around her. She knew this reaction well. Humanity had long been underestimated by the galactic community. Their history of conflict, their capacity for survival, all dismissed as irrelevant relics of a primitive species. "They've avoided wars for centuries," a Tovari delegate interjected, his feathers puffing in agitation. "Is that not evidence of their aversion to violence? Fear governs them." A Gorik general snarled, his serrated teeth glinting. "Or cowardice. They lack the stomach for true combat. They'll crumble at the first sign of blood." Finally, Harker raised her hand. The room fell silent, the weight of her composure disarming the cacophony. "You misunderstand us," she said, her voice steady and cool. "We don't fear war. We understand its cost, better than most." Her words hung in the air like a dagger poised to strike. For a moment even the Gorik seemed taken aback. But the Xantharian ambassador scoffed, his crystalline features hardening. "Empty rhetoric. Words will not protect your species when the Vrelics come for us all." Harker's gaze didn't waver. "Words aren't what we've prepared." A faint chime interrupted the tense exchange. The holographic display at the center of the chamber flickered to life, revealing a distorted signal. Lines of static crawled across the screen, accompanied by an ominous, low-frequency hum. A voice emerged, guttural and alien. Though the words were incomprehensible, the tone conveyed unmistakable menace. "It's a threat," one of the Tovari translators murmured, their feathers bristling with fear. "A declaration of war." The Gorik general growled, his claws tapping impatiently on the table. "From the Vrelics, no doubt. This will not end in negotiation." The council erupted once more, voices colliding in panic and speculation. Only Harker remained calm, her fingers steepled as she studied the transmission. The fear in the room was palpable, but she didn't share it. If anything, she seemed almost expectant, as though she had been waiting for this moment. "The Vrelics are coming," she said finally, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "And when they do, you'll see why humans don't fear war." The chamber fell silent again, a heavy unease settling over the council. For the first time, the alien representatives regarded Harker with something other than contempt. There was something in her tone, something cold, assured, and unshakable. The transmission crackled once more, then cut to black, leaving only the faint echo of its ominous hum. The Xantharian ambassador turned to Harker, his crystalline features unreadable. "If you are as capable as you claim," he said slowly, "prove it. The galaxy cannot afford empty promises." Harker's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile, though it didn't reach her eyes. "We'll do more than prove it," she said. "We'll end it." As she turned to leave the chamber, the other representatives exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time they wondered if they had misjudged humanity, not for their weakness but for what lay beneath it. Long before humanity joined the galactic community, they had forged their identity in the fires of their own conflicts. Commander Harker's thoughts drifted to the unspoken truths of Earth's history as she sat aboard her ship, the Resolute. Humanity's centuries of war were not forgotten, merely buried beneath layers of diplomacy and exploration. War had nearly destroyed them. The 20th and 21st centuries had seen technological and ideological clashes that ravaged their world. Entire cities reduced to ash, ecosystems teetering on collapse, and billions lost. The scars of the nuclear crisis, the terraforming wars, and the collapse lingered in their collective memory. Each generation had sworn they would not repeat the mistakes of the past. Yet humans adapted. From those ashes, they built systems to prevent global conflicts, uniting under a singular goal of survival. They turned their attention outward, exploring the stars, seeking allies, and ensuring their prosperity through trade and diplomacy. The galaxy, it seemed, viewed this as a sign of timidity. Harker's lips tightened at the thought. She had often encountered this misconception. Peace was a strategy, not an instinct. Humanity had learned that war was not sustainable, but they had never lost their ability to wage it. They had simply become surgical in its application, a lesson the galaxy had yet to learn. She leaned forward as the holographic display activated, showing the calm face of a Tovari diplomat. The feathered alien regarded her curiously. "Commander Harker," he said, his tone cautious, "there is concern among the Council. Your species speaks of war as though it is a game you're unwilling to play. Why do you avoid conflict when it threatens your survival?" "Because we know what it costs," she replied evenly. "For us, war isn't just about weapons and tactics. It's about people. Every loss, every soldier, every civilian, is a scar that never fades. That's why we choose diplomacy first." The Tovari tilted his head. "But if you choose not to fight, does that not make you vulnerable?" Harker's gaze hardened. "We don't avoid fighting. We choose when to fight. And when we do, we don't lose." The diplomat's feathers shifted uneasily. "I've read your history," he admitted. "It's filled with devastation. Yet you survive. How?" "Adaptation," she said simply. "When war threatened to destroy us, we became smarter, more strategic. We learned to anticipate, to outthink, to make our enemies overreach. We don't rely on brute strength. We rely on precision." As if on cue, the ship's AI interrupted. "Commander, the incoming signal has been decoded. It appears to be a Vrelic's battle chant, a promise to extinguish all resistance." The diplomat stiffened, his feathers flattening. "They're coming for all of us." Harker stood, her expression grim but resolute. "And they've underestimated us just like you have." The diplomat hesitated, then asked quietly, "Is it true then? What you said to the Council? That humans don't fear war?" She looked him in the eye, her voice firm. "We fear what comes after it. That's why we make sure there's nothing left to fear." As the transmission ended, the Tovari diplomat found himself reconsidering everything he thought he knew about humans. They weren't pacifists. They were pragmatists, and that, perhaps, made them the most dangerous of all. The Vrelic's armada loomed on the edge of the galaxy, a monstrous fleet of ships bristling with weapons designed for annihilation. Reports flooded in, each one grimmer than the last. The Council members panicked, their carefully maintained composure unraveling as they realized the true scale of the threat. Amid the chaos, humanity moved with an eerie calm. Commander Harker convened with her officers aboard the Resolute. Tactical displays filled the room, showing not just the enemy fleet but something far more critical: humanity's hidden strength. For decades, Earth had prepared for a moment like this, not out of paranoia but out of necessity. She turned to her officers. "Activate the Artemis network. It's time the galaxy saw what we've been working on." A series of commands were issued, and across the galaxy, dormant systems roared to life. Hidden in the shadows of uninhabited moons and drifting among asteroid fields, humanity's stealth fleet emerged. These ships, smaller and less imposing than the Vrelic's dreadnoughts, were masterpieces of engineering, designed to outmaneuver and outthink any adversary. Simultaneously, cyber warfare teams deployed AI-driven viruses that infiltrated the Vrelic systems. Key logistical hubs began to fail. Communications flickered. Entire formations lost cohesion as their central commands struggled to maintain control. Harker's voice cut through the chatter on the bridge. "We're not here to match their strength. We're here to dismantle it. Focus on precision strikes. Disable their capabilities and let them watch as their might crumbles." The first wave of human ships struck without warning, slipping past the Vrelic's defenses and targeting their supply lines. Explosions rippled through the enemy fleet, not from sheer firepower, but from the calculated destruction of critical components. Fuel depots detonated and munitions reserves erupted, sending shockwaves through the tightly packed formations. The Vrelics retaliated with brute force, their massive warships unleashing a barrage of energy weapons. But their attacks hit nothing but empty space. Humanity's ships moved with a fluidity the Vrelics couldn't match, vanishing from sight before reappearing to strike again. On the ground, human forces deployed advanced drones and exocets, turning small infantry units into devastatingly effective strike teams. The battles were surgical, each move calculated to maximize impact while minimizing losses. Yet, amidst the precision and strategy, humanity's emotional resilience shone through. In the middle of a heated skirmish, a young human soldier knelt beside a wounded Tovari cadet, shielding them from enemy fire. Despite the chaos, the soldier whispered words of reassurance, their tone steady and calm. It was a simple act, but it carried weight. Across the battlefield, Allies who had once doubted humanity began to fight harder, inspired by the unwavering determination of their human counterparts. The Tovari diplomat, observing from a command center, murmured to himself, "They're not just fighting for survival. They're fighting for all of us." As the battle raged, the cracks in the Vrelic's forces grew wider. Harker watched the tactical displays with a cold, calculating gaze. "They're breaking," she said, her voice steady. "Now we show them why humans are never underestimated twice." She gave the order, and the final phase of the operation began. Hidden within the fleet were experimental weapons humanity had never revealed, energy disruptors capable of neutralizing entire ships without firing a single shot. The devices activated, sending ripples through the Vrelic's fleet. Engines stalled, weapon systems failed, and panic spread like wildfire. The once mighty armada, so confident in its superiority, began to falter. For the first time, the Vrelics experienced what it meant to face an opponent who fought not with brute force, but with unrelenting precision and an unshakable resolve. Harker's gaze hardened as the Vrelic's formations collapsed. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "Let them remember this day not just as their defeat, but as the moment they learned what humanity truly is." The Vrelic's flagship hung in space, battered but not broken, surrounded by the remnants of its once mighty fleet. Fires raged across the fractured hulls of their dreadnoughts, the faint glow of destruction painting the void. Humanity's forces encircled them, their sleek, precise formations an undeniable testament to their victory. Yet the humans did not strike the final blow. Commander Harker stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her expression unreadable as she studied the enemy. They had the power to end it all right here, to obliterate the Vrelic's leadership and ensure they would never rise again. But humanity had learned that true victory wasn't always about destruction. "Open a channel," Harker ordered. The Vrelic's commander appeared on the main display, his armor cracked, his reptilian features twisted in defiance. "Finish it," he snarled, his guttural voice laced with venom. "You have us in your grasp. Show me the cruelty I've heard so much about." Harker's gaze was unflinching. "We didn't come here to destroy you. Surrender now and we'll discuss terms." The Vrelic's commander's laugh was sharp and bitter. "Mercy? From humans? Don't insult me with your pretense of morality." "It's not pretense," Harker replied. "It's strategy. Killing you would solve nothing. Cooperation will ensure this war ends here not just for us, but for the entire galaxy." The room fell silent as the Vrelic's commander stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. It wasn't mercy that unnerved him, it was the sheer pragmatism behind it. Humanity didn't just win wars, they controlled the aftermath. Finally he lowered his head. "You are unlike anything we expected, human. We will hear your terms." As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in activity. Officers coordinated the disarmament of the remaining Vrelic ships, securing the victory with a precision that had become humanity's signature. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread, reaching the ears of allies and doubters alike. On the Intergalactic Peace Council, the mood was one of disbelief. The Xantharian ambassador, who had so vehemently criticized humanity, now found himself at a loss for words. When the report came through confirming the Vrelic's surrender, he turned to the other representatives, his crystalline features softening. "They didn't just defeat them," he murmured. "They changed the game entirely." The Tovari diplomat, still shaken from witnessing the battle, nodded. "We misjudged them. Humans do not fear war, nor do they revel in it. They wield it as a tool with precision and restraint. It is humbling." As the council debated the implications of humanity's actions, Harker stood alone on the observation deck of the Resolute, gazing out at the quiet expanse of space. The battle was over, but the burden of what came next weighed heavily on her. A junior officer approached, hesitant but determined. "Commander, the council is requesting your presence to formalize the Vrelic's surrender. They want to thank us." Harker nodded, though her expression remained serious. "They don't need to thank us. They need to learn from this." The officer hesitated. "Do you think they will?" She turned to face him, her eyes sharp with purpose. "They'll have to. Because this isn't just about humanity. It's about ensuring the galaxy never faces something like this again." Later, as Harker stood before the council, she delivered her final address. Her words were measured, her tone firm. "Let this be a lesson not just for the Vrelics but for all of us. War is not strength. It is failure. But when it comes to us, humanity ensures that failure is absolute. We don't fight for conquest. We fight for survival, and for the chance to build something better after the ashes settle." The council chamber fell silent, the weight of her words pressing down on all present. For the first time in galactic history, humanity was not seen as weak or fearful. They were seen as something far more profound. A force that understood both the cost of war and the value of peace, wielding both with unparalleled mastery. As Harker left the chamber, the galaxy stood on the precipice of a new era. Humanity, once underestimated, had reshaped the interstellar order, not with domination but with precision, resilience, and an unyielding resolve to ensure a future worth fighting for.